Hello, friends, and welcome to what I've been told is the 99th episode of Snap Judgments. No longer all new Snap Judgments, but just Snap Judgments. All right, we are the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone, and I am joined here by my friend and yours, the one, the only, Aaron Pulse Glazer. Aaron, my friend, how are you on this evening of delights?
I'm not a space worm. But also, the thing we're going to go with from now on is I believe we need to be uncanny. We are the uncanny Snap Judgments.
All new, all different now. No. Uncanny Snap Judgments? Is that
Uncanny Snap Judgments? I'm not actually rebranding
what was
anything.
The Marvel branding after all new Marvel? It was something.
I think it was just...
Was that Marvel Now?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, Snap Judgments Now. That's what we should really be. Yeah. Snap Judgments Now. All right, well, that lovely voice is... All right, this is the 99th episode of the show. We've been doing this, way longer than I ever... Wait, it's the first 5 minutes, so I shouldn't say that word. Way freaking longer than I thought we would ever do, and to much bigger success. But to celebrate, we have a very special semi-surprise, which we are not going to spoil, Aaron. Only our loyalist of loyal listeners, who when you offhandedly spoiled it a few episodes ago, will know what we're doing for our 100th episode, which is next week. But we're doing a special thing close to my heart, and I know yours, Aaron. So what are we doing this week on the show?
We have our original co-hosts, our friends before this game, friends from a previous podcast. We are joined by, are we doing real names, Will? Will Lentz, a.k.a. Kenan.
Kenan, Jesus.
Kenan.
Yeah.
And
I'm all about Kenan. I rarely get to hear that anymore.
Oh, yeah. The second I started to say your real name, I was like, oh my god, am I supposed to Kenan you?
Oh my god.
We are also joined by Chris Levin. How you doing?
Well enough overall. I said to Roy before we started recording, other than the, looming and constant existential dread at the state of the world that we all mostly have at this point, things are good.
Oh, it's too early in the episode to cry about the state of the world. That is usually when, we've been talking for a couple hours and we're like, the filter is gone. Time to just yell about how bad and conservatives are.
That's why I think we believe it as existential dread.
Existential dread. Well, one could say we could manifest dread on this episode. But, excuse me, it's actually pretty joyful for me. The real OGs of Snap Judgments fans will recognize some of these voices. Some people who may have followed content that the 3 or 4 of us here have made in the past. I know there are some long-standing listeners going back to Two Champs and a Chump that do listen to this. So I'm really excited to do this. It's the thing I've been looking forward to most this week. Will or Chris, before I do our sort of socials, do you have any socials or anything like that you want to share with our loyal listeners and loyal viewers?
Chris, I'll let you go first.
Hell no.
Hell no. All right.
That was
How about
short.
you, Will? I know you've got stuff that you want to...
Yeah. I've got stuff. I'm going to point people toward Gameonomicon. That's like Necronomicon, the book, but with game at the front instead of necro. That's the
I like that he explained that just in case any of our listeners are very stupid.
The problem is the spelling, and I didn't want to stop to spell the whole thing out, but every time people are like, how the heck is that spelled? So anyway, I'm sure search my name, search something close to Gameonomicon. You'll probably find it most active on Threads and the like, but that is the tabletop role-playing game company that I'm running, putting products out, chatting, like I said, mostly on Threads, and actually doing a game design podcast over there about the current game we're working on. So
he made a podcast without us. That mother... We didn't even get an invite.
Actually, just like I didn't get an invite to Pokemon Pocket, so it's cool.
Oh.
I was trying to spare you. Go ahead, Chris.
Shout out something, and this is my little bit of change here. You can search my name on Blue Sky.
There you go.
There we go. Blue Sky. The skies are blue there.
Today, the whole Marvel Snap community is talking about moving to Blue Sky. It's like half my Twitter feed because Elon is.
Sounds preferable.
Your X feed.
I need an invite, I guess. Yeah,
I can give you one. I have Blue Sky.
Yeah, I could get you.
Sure.
Oh,
Okay.
you still need
I never
invites?
used Blue Sky, but
I
didn't-
don't want to
I didn't
use
think you
more.
did.
I don't have my personal Twitter. I deleted it ages ago because
Good man.
Twitter is a circle of hell.
It
Um,
is.
But then I had a podcast that I was trying to make successful, and the whole community was on Twitter, and I felt like I had to. And now I've got like a whole bunch of followers, and all I ever do is bullshit on it. And I do occasional promotional materials, and I troll random friends. That's all.
There we go.
Nice.
Well, if you want to engage with Glazer while he trolls random
Uh-oh.
threads on his Twitter/X, and where no matter whether you have blocked him or not blocked him, you can always see his post now, is at SnapJudgeCast. Again, as I mentioned on the top of the show, we are the official podcasting partner of Marvel Snap Zone. We're incredibly grateful each and every week that we are partnered with them. They're amazing. We've had, over the 99 episodes we've done, we've had some amazing guests who are Marvel Snap Zone writers. We've had Lauren, we've had Dan, we've had many, many others. And we're so grateful, again, each and every week to be the official podcasting partner of Marvel Snap Zone. Go check them out. Go check their website. It's awesome. You can definitely try and email us at snapjudgmentspodcast@gmail.com. Will Glazer check it? Will I check it? The answer to that is probably no, but you can email us there. And most importantly is, of course, where you are probably listening or watching this. That is, of course, our YouTube channel at Snap Judgments Pod, where 6 out of the 7 days a week, Aaron is posting daily Snap takes about everything in Marvel Snap. So, Aaron, if our loyal listeners were to become our loyal viewers, what would they find on the YouTube right now?
So 6 of 7 is true, but I've been doing 2 a days because High Voltage came out, and I've just been making separate High Voltage content. So we're up to like 8 or 9 videos a week, which is fairly insane. But we've got our regular 4 decks a day, and then we've got some separate High Voltage videos that explain the mode and all the stuff you'll need to know about that if you're getting into it and would like some really great decks.
Well, before we put some voltage into our content here, I just need to remind folks that you should definitely subscribe to Patreon, Snap Judgment, patreon.com/snapjudgments. Again, as I say each and every week, Glazer has a small child. He has a wife. He spends hundreds, if not thousands of dollars every year on the Marvel Snap community. The way he justifies that to himself, to his wife, to, again, his small child, who, if you watch his Pokemon Pocket content, you can meet, is through your Patreon. That is how Aaron justifies the amount of money he puts back into the community. So you should subscribe. Again, it's a reverse pyramid scheme where it's just an excuse for more money to flow out of the Glazer family coffers to you, the Marvel Snap community. So patreon.com/snapjudgments. All right, Aaron, let's hop into it and talk about
Our guess.
Nope. We already did that.
Oh, we're gonna skip that. I wasn't
that.
actually
We're
talking about them. I want to like find out about their history of the game and stuff.
Oh, you want to? No. We could do that. I thought we did the whole introduce.
No, I wanted
thing.
to talk about them more because our guests will know who Dan is, but like they should learn a little bit about Will. They should get to know and love him as much as we do.
Okay,
Will,
we can do that.
First, how did we all meet? And then what is your experience with Marvel Snap? Favorite card, that kind of thing.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, I'm going to start to just say I'm super impressed by Roy's comment that he dropped so casually about there still being 2C, 1C listeners that are playing and listening to this. So I'm dying to know who that is. If you are that person, please reach out to me and let me know. So that said, what's 2C, 1C? That was the original Game of Thrones card game podcast that I started with a couple buddies who had won world championships way back. Lord, I think we started that in like 2008 or something. And as time kind of went on, life took them out of it. Aaron was one of our, let's say, staunchest fans. If I was late posting an episode, I knew he was the one that was going to call me on it. So I asked him to start subbing in as a guest host to fill in when the other guys were not available. And then he turned me on to Roy as another possible guest host.
Roy turns me on too.
Oh, yeah. And very quickly, guest hosts just became permanent hosts. From there, I mean, aside from myself in every episode of our 500 some odd episodes, these two guys are the ones that had the longest run. If I had to guess, I would say probably 350 for Aaron and at least 300 for Roy. Just a guess.
We actually
might be
counted at some point.
underselling
It's something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I started on the podcast, I believe, in 2013 or 14. I did that podcast the night my son was born.
No.
Just in case you think I'm insane. Yep. Carla was staying at the hospital. I came home and I just was restless, and I knew you guys were recording, and I didn't know what else to do. My wife is sitting next to me giving me the dirtiest look in the world, because I don't know if she knew that. But I came home and I was
You
restless.
said
I was
this
home alone.
times,
So I was home alone, and
in the hospital helping.
you had well, okay, I will explain to her what happened later and why I did not stay at the hospital. She was not left alone, I promise. But I was sent home, and so I was home and I was restless and I couldn't sleep, and so I just did the podcast that night. So just in case you're wondering if I'm absolutely insane about the content I make for any other game, yeah, that's just who I am.
Yeah, very much so. So yeah, that's how we got matched up for years now. One of these guys, probably Aaron, had pitched the idea of doing Snap podcast since FFG, let's say, discontinued the Game of Thrones card game. And I thought, hey, that sounds super fun. And I was super jazzed for maybe a month total. And then I faded. Yeah, so that is why I have not been around on here. I think my history with Snap, I think trying too hard, the grind of like working up to infinite and stuff, like just wasn't enjoyable to me. So I bailed out for a couple months, and came back, and ever since then, I have just been playing for fun. Like, I don't care about my ranking. I wander somewhere up around 50 and then immediately get reset every time. And I just like enjoy messing around, playing events, that sort of thing. So it's been good. Favorite card, that is a tough decision though. My favorite cards, they have a tendency to change. And not usually because it's the problem card specifically. It's just collateral damage. So I'd say various versions of Lockjaw have been high on my list, or Beast, stuff that does some weird little tricksy bounce, change out what you've got kind of things.
Cool. Chris, you're up.
All right. So I met these guys also through the Game of Thrones card game, although not through a podcast thereof. I met them at tournaments. By and large, I met Glazer and Roy first, well later, but that's due to geography more than anything else. I live closer to Roy and Aaron, such that we were able to go to some of the same tournaments. So I met them that way, and that would have been, I want to say 2013, but time is transient, and who knows what the actual date was. I feel like it was 2013, though. So I met the guys through that, and, we played game together, tested decks together, etc. And then as Snap was coming out, Glazer reached out to see if I wanted to do the podcast. I did. I stuck with it a little longer than Will did, but I hit a burnout point with the game as well. I took off entirely from Snap the seasons that were the Miss Marvel, Sebastian Shaw, and Star seasons. So I took 3 months entirely off.
November, December, January of this, going into this year.
Yes.
The end of 2023.
I did not touch the game at all. So I came back to it and had a very different approach to the game. I'd gotten close to Infinite before I left, hadn't actually put in the time to crest it. I was in the 90s. When I came back, similar to Will, I play very, very casually nowadays. Last several seasons, I've gotten into the 80s, but have not felt the need to grind further than that. So I've also, it is no secret that the returning player experience, not tremendous if you're trying to be competitive. So I have enjoyed it much more by not worrying about that, because it is, to a certain extent, an exercise in futility, or at least in frustration. And why would I play a game if I was going to just be frustrated by it? So I tend to play it more casually. We'll talk a little later about a couple of the ways that has worked really well. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm playing regularly now, but not a ton at any given time, if that makes sense.
Snap how the developers intended it to be played.
Yeah.
Sorta?
All right.
Go ahead, Roy.
Well, I know Glazer has a lot of Scorn for my transitions today. So let's talk about the card Scorn. All right. Another one of these absolutely replacement level symbiotes that Marvel Snap is dragging out of the like 10-cent bin from your local comic book stores, back issue bin.
Yeah,
but we have
it's
Scorn.
like Maximum Carnage 2 or something.
Yeah, whatever nonsense this shit is. Like, I don't know, Ultimate Venom versus Null, King in Blue, or whatever they have going on. Anyway.
Black. The King in Black. Jesus,
I know, I'm
not
making
the hard
fun
word.
of it,
No.
Glazer. It's so stupid.
Stop
right.
being mean to poor Null. He didn't do nothing.
Except suck.
That book
All right, anyway.
Yeah, that book is
Series
terrible.
5, 6K tokens. When you discard this, return it to your hand and give it +2 power. Both Scorn themselves and one of your cards in play. And Scorn is a 1/2. All right, I'll throw this to Lavin. What do you think of Scorn?
This is probably a good choice, because for our very, very old head listeners, you may or may not remember I am something of a discard aficionado. It has been one of the decks I have always kept built in my deck portfolio. No matter what the meta has been, I have a discard deck. If you are like me and you enjoy discard, this card is incredible for it. Does it make it a top deck? No. But does it add a lot to the deck? Yes, 100%. And absolutely could fill in place of several different cards that people sometimes run in discard, depending on how you filter it. You could replace a Swarm with it. If you ran Wolverine, you shouldn't, but if you did, you could replace a Wolverine with it, etc. But it's only good in discard, to be clear. Like, maybe there's a way down the road someone can come up with a small discard package to go into another deck. I don't think that world is right now, so I am glad to have spent keys on it because I am a discard player. So I think it's a fairly binary situation with this card. Yes, no, in terms of, do you enjoy discard or not?
Will?
You know, I enjoy discard. I don't think I'm the aficionado that Chris is, but I was intrigued by Scorn. I did pick her up. I've fiddled with her a little bit. And I think some of it depends on what angle of discard you're kind of going for here. Obviously, there's some different stuff, Apocalypse, or maybe something more Black Knight and beefy bodies, or maybe it's full on Hela, whatever it might be. I would say Scorn didn't fit neatly into the couple discards that I had built. And actually getting her discarded has turned out to be a little trickier than I had hoped for. I think there's about 3 possible targets that discard her right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Swordmaster, Calling Wing, and shoot,
Guaranteed.
Swordmaster, I mean MODOK.
And
and potentially MODOK, right? Yeah.
Blade
Well,
if you draw.
If she's in your hand,
discarding
MODOK
your whole
gets
hand.
her. So
Yeah. But at that point, like if you're going the MODOK route, you're almost certainly cheating stuff back in after that, right? So the total power level that you're getting out of Scorn at that point versus something that maybe just had a beefier body, like I don't know, she seems like an okay role player, but I'm noticing it if I'm not trying to do something like ditch the whole hand like that. She winds up kind of messing with me having other low cost stuff in the deck that might get targeted instead. Low cost or low strength, that matter. So yeah, I think I'm kind of somewhere in the middle ground on her in the end.
Yeah, to be clear, to clarify something I said, when I say discard, I do mean Apocalypse discard. That is the home for it. It's not a Helicar.
I mean, that was my first thought, and I tried her there, but I feel like a lot of the Apocalypse discard runs at cross purposes with targeting Scorn, and I'm kind of like, I don't know, either eating up slots trying to target Scorn to get rid of her, or something. I don't know. It didn't click for me.
Right.
I know this is a controversial take, but I love that she's powered back up combo Gambit, which is one of my favorite silly decks of all time in Marvel Snap.
Really great. It's a good deck in high voltage, Roy. You need to play high voltage. Like, it actually
I have not
works.
had time yet. That's exciting. I've been a long proponent of, after losing America Chavez, Dracula discard or Apocalypse discard, whatever you want to say is the key card, needs a second Apocalypse, basically, right? Because like you want another like good card that repeats, right? Like Swarm is okay, but is not like the best card in the world. But this, if you can discard it a couple of times, not only does it give you an alternative Dracula hit, but it's also pumping up your board a little bit. And frequently, I found that discard, unless you truly pop off, is like winning by just a couple points. And like a random +2 power on your Corvus Glaive could save you, right? Or on your Proxima Midnight, right? Like, and it's sort of like, it's just a lot of utility and creates redundancy for these all-in discard strategies. So I think even in fair discard, you know, the Apocalypse Dracula variants, I think this is a strong card. I think it's up there with Proxima Midnight as like a sort of like upgrade and consistency weapon. Like I know I was always big on Proxima in the show, but I know other folks that we have on weren't, because they were like, But I'm like, just like a random 7 power that, you know, furthers your game plan by like building your board, but also discarding. This is only a really bad card to discard when you have literally nothing on board, right? If you get hit by like Sokovia or whatever in the first turn and this gets discarded, right? Like otherwise it's pumping up your Corvus Glaive. It's pumping up your what's her name? Oh my god, the cat variant of her. Why is it escaping me?
The cat variant?
The one where she's holding the cat. Colleen Wing, yes.
Thank you.
Colleen
I was
Wing.
like, the cat
Colleen
variant.
Wing,
I was
right?
like,
It's like
Goose?
It's like powering up all of your cards while also providing utility. I think this is really what those type of discard decks needed. I think to be a consistently, I know this is like damning with faint praise, but like consistently tier 2 deck. Where a deck where like you can just go on the ladder and play that and it's going to compete. It may not be the best thing you're doing in all of Marvel Snap, but no one's going to be like, oh, look at these free cubes I'm getting off of somebody playing discard. So that's my take on Scorn.
So 2 discard for Scorn, if you ever play her, is a 1/9. And a 1/9's a lot of stats. That's fundamentally like why she's good, right? She's a good card. She's just not a good card in a great archetype. She opens up a play pattern that had been closed off to discard since America. Roy was the first person that nailed this, and I've been saying this all over the place since. That you sort of lost the MODOK on 5 play unless if you had Dracula, you lost the MODOK on 5 play, right? Because you would want to be able to play something on 6 to then have Apocalypse in hand, right, as your last discard. And if you played like it was just like whatever the hell the top deck was all you could play at that turn. And if that top deck was a 2/3, great, that Dracula was huge, right? But your other play is bad. Being able to play even a 6 power Scorn at that point, when Scorn has already put 4 power on the board, right, is still really, really solid. Like it's there's a lot to like here fundamentally. I think discard is still a tier 2 deck, but like that's growth. And look, if they give Meek a point of power, like I could see this being, I don't think it's ever going to be like tier 1. It's too easy to counter, right? Like a nice Red Guardian says Dracula is cute. A nice Rogue just gets rid of your Morbius, and those are like the power cards of the deck outside of Dracula, right? Apocalypse itself. So I don't think it's ever going to be truly tier 1, but I think Scorn makes it a thing that like you can play at a consistently reasonable level. Like it's no longer like an embarrassing deck, right? Like it's a good deck now. And I think that's like a real thing. Should you buy Scorn? I don't know. Do you love that Apocalypse discard deck? If so, go get it. And if not, then for the love of God, run. Like, don't buy this. Good.
Yeah.
This
All right,
is the slide to talk about high voltage. I didn't write anything. Just what you think about high voltage. Chris.
High voltage is all I've played over the last day and a half in terms of Marvel Snap games. I have not played a ladder game. I have not played a conquest game. I have just played high voltage. It is a blast. It is what it does is it focuses on what the developer idea for Snap was, which is really fast games that you're in and out of without any fuss, and amplifies that. They are lightning quick. You lose a skill component because the lack of snapping is a skill component that's missing from ladder to high voltage. But and variance is very high. Random energy and the like means that basically any game you introduce an extra random element in, there's going to be higher variance. It's just kind of how it works. That said, the games are so fast that it doesn't feel terrible even when you get variance. I lost a game today where someone played 2 cards. They played a Jubilee, which happened to pull their Black Panther, and then a Zola, which happened to hit the Black Panther. Oh well, I spent 3 minutes of my life on that, and then I move on. That in a ladder situation, or God forbid, a conquest situation, that would be incredibly more frustrating. In a high voltage situation, it's like, no big deal. Now, I've seen people talk about whether it should be a permanent mode, and I can hold that thought if you'd like, but my answer in the short version is no. I think that in my ideal version of Snap that I envision, it's similar to, and I don't play this game, but the way League of Legends is structured, where they have one permanent mode in their main mode, Summoner's Rift. They have one permanent alternate mode in ARAM, which is a faster mode. So it's sort of the opposite of Snap with Conquest, but still. And then a variety of rotating modes. I think that's the model Snap should look to follow, is have a variety of rotating quick modes or sub-modes like high voltage that come in and out. And that way the experience is fresher for people and it doesn't overstay its welcome. So, high voltage is great. I think a week is perfect right now. And I just maybe hope to see it again in a month or 2.
So I'm just going to say straight up, that is the model they're going for. Next week, month, Deadpool's Diner is back. And then early in January, they have a third new mode that's coming as a short-term mode. So that is that's the model they're doing. They're just going to. It makes sense.
I think it's just the right model. I think it's the model that provides the best kind of varied experience for someone and helps keep engagement up. So,
well, yeah, everyone it prevents people from getting sick of it, but even more than just getting sick of it, right? If you have a favorite mode, you're extra hyped for it. Now, the player that might bounce off the game for a little while and take that 3-month hiatus is but high voltage is coming back, so maybe not, or but Deadpool's Diner is coming back, so maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And because of that, I hope that rotation doesn't leave dead weeks once they've got a few of these. I think it would be more enjoyable for me from that casual front, and that I would be looking forward to more if there's always an alternate mode to play, even if that rotates. I think after playing a couple of these, I really enjoyed Deadpool's Diner. I'm really enjoying High Voltage. I think going back to only having vanilla available to me is going to feel kind of boring, kind of dry.
I think the important part of vanilla and Snap is that's the skill mode, right? That's the that's not the this is a hobby, that's the this is my hobby mode.
The part
right?
I don't care about anymore.
Yeah, right. No, I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying
I know.
But the game will live it will live off the back of those everyday grinders, right? It will thrive off the back of keeping players like you coming back. And I think that's an important difference. They need both, right? I am already back to ladder half the time. because that's just where my brain goes, right? Like trying to
Sure.
figure out and break the meta game is like the way I like to engage with this. But like that difference, that high voltage, I've seen top players complain that high voltage is a coin flip simulator because, and it's not. I'm going to be clear, it's not. But like the skill expression is so different than it is in something like Ladder or especially Conquest. Although Conquest has really complicated skill expression because of MMR issues. But like the skill expression is so very different that it fundamentally changes the entire paradigm of Marvel Snap. And I think that's ultimately healthy. Like that's really positive. Will?
Yeah, no, I think that's great as well. And I'm honestly, I almost hate to say this. I just second almost all of Chris's thoughts here. Obviously, I did here at the end, but I think it says something that those of us that got burnt out on attempting the grind, and let's be real, I think most folks that have been following Snap over a length of time can see most things in the game are there to, let's say, encourage some level of grinding. So seeing stuff like this, and like I said, even Deadpool's Diner, that breaks up that monotony, makes it so much more enjoyable for the casual pick up and play. High Voltage has been a blast. It's interesting. Also, not only is it a fresh mode, and I guess Conquest and Deadpool's Diner were when they came out, but what they changed fundamentally about the game and the interactions were all at kind of like an upper like meta level, not the individual like match level. And High Voltage with this admittedly variable but much wider range of energy available, plus even the shorter turn lengths here, I think has really kind of refreshed the card pool to me. There are so many other different interactions that are available that you might see pop up and go, oh, that's super cool when your opponent does it, or things that you're trying to do that are just not possible otherwise. So in some ways, I think this is one of the like biggest kind of card pool updates that we've ever seen, because now everything has totally new implications.
And I think when the mode first debuts, any mode first debuts, having a card available in it is a great idea. I think if you have a reward track with even just credits and boosters, like on the rotating modes eventually, once they've been introduced, some of them more so than others. Like Deadpool's Diner is a commitment, right? Like I get it. But High Voltage, if you gave me personally boosters and credits for a track for High Voltage, I would still play because it's fun and it's fast.
So for the foreseeable future, based on Datamines, it certainly seems like, and they're never going to admit this, because if they decide not to, they don't want to have to like be like, they're going to do we never promised this game, right? But like they're going to give us a card every month for free. Like that seems to be what they're doing. They're going to be like, we're not fixing card acquisition. Keep giving us all your money for it for a while. We're working on it, but like we don't actually have a solution. So here, have a card for every month and shut up. That seems to be what they're going to do here.
Right. And I will say this. Can I do a quick plug here? Yeah. I have been playing High Voltage with a deck featured in our own Aaron Glazer's first video on High Voltage, and have had great success with it. So if you were a regular watcher of Glazer's videos on a day-to-day with the Snap tapes.
Wait, which deck?
Barzy's first deck.
Nice, yeah. Okay, that's a good one.
If you watched, you would also encounter decks that you could have great success with. So another reason to check out the content.
So
that was some good shilling, Chris, by the way.
I appreciate the shilling. Before we came on air, we were discussing commenters that are positive and negative. I am currently, just because I'm always amused by this, getting yelled at in the comments by telling people what good decks are and thus encouraging them to try hard. Which is just like, have you been to this channel before, friend? Like, what did you think I was going to do?
If you want to play bad cards, Proving Ground is right there.
But look, so is High Voltage. It doesn't matter if you just if you complete all the missions, you're still going to do it, and you're still welcome to. But like, I don't like. Yeah, you could also play good decks. Like, Did you know that sometimes it's fun to have a simple competitive 3-minute game? Because I think that's fun. But what do I know, I guess. I was just like, sometimes the comments are really weird. But what are you going to do? All right. Let us move on to the roadmap. We're going to do, I think, 3 sections of this. Coming soon, then, like, on the horizon. I don't remember what the fucking phrases they use. Coming soon, Collector's Vault. Collector's Vault comes out 10/24. Basically, any variant over a year old, you'll get 6 at a time, and it might only be like 6 per season that you get for that 1 week. It might be like the rotating every day. We don't actually know that yet. But we know you're only going to get a chunk of them. You're not going to see all of them. They're only going to be seemingly for about a random week a season. And then they're just going to disappear forever. So you'll be able to get old variants for gold. Everyone's seemingly assuming that the gold is going to go from a little less than the Spotlight variants, a little more than Spotlight variants, but you're going to spend $20-$30 in gold if you want to get these variants. Any thoughts about the Collector's Vault? Start with Will.
I don't have any particular qualms with it. I think it's pretty reasonable after that length of time. I'm not... Well, I'm someone that has also drastically dialed back his spending in the game to just the season passes. But there was some early stuff like the Hot Spring Sunspot that I believe's on tap to come up here that I felt good for a long time that I had. But I don't begrudge other folks having the opportunity to get that at this point. And I didn't realize actually till you said it. That they're only coming up the one time, and then that's it.
So it could refresh like every day for that 1 week that it's out, or it could just be like you have a week to figure out if you want these 6. Next month you'll get a different 6. Go.
Yeah.
We don't actually know that yet.
The video though that Guest made it sound like it was the former though.
I think it's the former, but in the absence of clarity, right? Like. If there's a thing I know about Second Dinner, it's that we'll think their mode works a certain way, and then it'll release, and we'll be like, oh, that's like we were 80% of the way there, but that 20% was important.
That's fair.
So, like, maybe whatever it is, I don't care if it like even if it's 30 variants per week, they release a bundle every freaking day, right? You're not going to see all the variants that you would be interested in. Chris?
It is always good to give people who started after a certain point a chance to pick up stuff that was present before they started the game. You don't want to make customers, fundamentally that's what you are if you're playing, you don't want to, as a company, make customers feel like, oh, I got in late, so I just can't ever get a bunch of this stuff. So why would I stick around if I don't get access to the same things? And the only people that are going to have a problem with this are the people who are like, oh, I got mine, and at the time it would cost money, so people shouldn't be able to get it because I spent money on this. And as you might tell from my tone of voice, I just fundamentally don't take that argument seriously.
It's the someone else made this analogy. It's the I paid off my college loans. How dare you? It's the exact same.
I wasn't sure if we were far enough into the podcast to make the political reference.
I only pretend to not be political early. Everything is inherently political.
Yes,
it's fine.
Precisely that argument, and it is an argument I do not take seriously at all. So, giving people a chance to have a shot at it, I don't mind if it's expensive with gold. I'm not saying you have to give it to people cheap. Sure. It just gives them an option for something to save their gold towards if they want to. Like, I found, since I come back, and I'm curious if Will has done this as well, since I've come back, I haven't spent gold on Token Tuesdays or the like. I spend gold on variants now because that's what makes me happy. So,
and I'm specifically waiting. I have one left. I believe it's Mystique in the Jim Lee album, which is the only one I'm trying to complete. And I've been waiting on Mystique for 6 months or something now. Well, so
really,
the not coming soon section has something for you for that.
Right. So just overall, I think giving players options to spend gold on is probably smart by Second Dinner because it will get people to buy more gold, and it makes for a better player experience. So, like, I don't know. Why wouldn't they do something like this? It just makes a lot of sense.
You can't have my sunspot. Sorry, wait, what? Roy, anything beyond agreement?
I mean, we talked about this, I think, last week, right, Glazer, with the
2 weeks ago.
as well, 2 weeks ago. I agree. I mean, the only option to me was like they just start putting older bundles like in the shop again, right? For the people who just like legitimately, it's one thing if you're like, I have the $100, I didn't want to spend it, so I miss out. Okay, but there's some people who like would have loved to have like, the Apocalypse, which is one of my favorite variants of all time, which I think was the first bundle, like the first big expensive bundle was that Apocalypse.
Yeah, I got that one too.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones. It has never changed, despite opening many other Apocalypse variants over the last couple of years. But I played early, right? But somebody who started 6 months later, like, there's no cosmic justice argument for why they should be denied this opportunity. They just started playing a game 6 months later, right? Much less people whose financial situation changed. Like maybe you were broke when your favorite characters bundle came out, like, and now you're not broke, right? So like, give an opportunity. The main thing I would have to add is after the guest video, they looked way cheaper than I thought they were going to be. I mean, 2,000 some gold is still pretty expensive, but it's still way cheaper. I thought it was going to be tokens, and I thought it was going to be like 8K tokens for your thing, right? Like or 10K.
They want us to spend more money. You can't immediately buy tokens with your cash. You can't immediately buy gold with your cash.
And that's
like that's why I was like, I don't think it's going to be tokens. Like they want to find uses for tokens, but they don't want to find uses for tokens that make you spend less money.
I think they just want to suck the tokens out of the economy is their goal.
Yeah.
Well, too fucking bad. I'm going to sit on my 70,000 like fucking smog.
Okay. As someone who's currently scraping together 1,200 tokens, looking at the 6K, I'm like, okay, thanks, Glazer. Thanks, 1%er over there.
Cha-ching!
So, you want to? How about the second? Do you have anything you want to add, Aaron? Or
no, that's Meg covered it. This is just an inherent good. You should want the game to be more accessible to more people if you enjoy the game. Second anniversary. The second anniversary's stuff is login rewards, a community variant that we vote on. We're not going to vote on it again. We did that a few weeks ago. Twitch drops and a special bundle. And my question is
what is
very
the special
simple.
Bundle? It's a Deadpool bundle, right?
It's just a super. I don't remember what it is anymore, but it's just super cheap. They always give like one of the best like progression bundles. It's like $5, and you get way more than you would ever like outside of the season pass. It's way more than you ever get for anything around that price point in Marvel Snap. So like it's the best value of the year. My question is really simple though. Does this make the second anniversary feel special enough? Is this enough?
The login rewards suck. I'm just gonna be like, that's my attitude. Like
they're miserable. Stop giving me borders for everything, bro. I don't want your fucking borders.
I don't mind borders. It's boosters. Like
I don't even hate boosters because sometimes boosters hit that card that I've already upgraded to whatever I want it to be upgraded to and keep showing up in my booster shop. And like I'm always really happy when I hit those random boosters. Just I don't want your fucking shiny borders. I don't care.
Ugh.
Sorry.
I'm more about borders than I am about boosters. But like, why is there not borders? Why is there not just more credits? Like,
because they think they're everything they do says that, and the community. We're gonna get comments about this, so like, ready yourself. But the community, they think they're too generous with us. They do.
Yeah,
right? Like
all
of their decisions.
Yeah.
Right. But like people are gonna be like, but they're not, bro. Go yell at Glenn. Please don't go yell at Glenn. We like Glenn. Go yell at I don't know who you go
yell at. Anyone.
Go yell in the mirror. Go yell in the mirror and let it out. No, don't hold it in. You'll become a hateful person. You'll become I'm not gonna say that. But you'll become, a terrible screamy content creator. But like don't just, don't like take it out on anyone, but like yelling at us that like Second Dinner isn't actually as generous as they think they are, I don't really give a shit. We don't have any power over that. We're just going to say what it is. They think they're too generous. Yeah. I think they should probably figure out a system that feels better, and they're probably reasonably generous, but they leave us feeling poorly about it, and that's a bad way to be.
Yeah.
I mean, the community variant really is the only kind of special thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's cool and all. Side note, and I'm not going to discuss it, because you guys did 2 weeks ago, but I'm voting for armor. Do what you want, whatever. Don't care. That's what I'm doing. But
It's Armor, Howard, and Destroyer, dear listener.
yes. Yeah. So the login rewards being crappy, yeah, okay. But, like, I don't know, is it worse than them doing nothing? I think that's an open question. Like, there is the question of, are crappy rewards insulting the consumer? Okay, that reasonable minds could differ. I mean, I play casually now. I can't get myself up in arms about this. Like, do the rewards kind of stink? Yeah, they kind of stink. Whatever.
Yeah, I think I don't necessarily want to paint this as doom and gloom, but I do think it is possible for folks looking at something like an anniversary, which usually in mobile games is pretty well hyped, if the celebration for that is perceived as below par, that kind of causes some question about how invested the company is in kind of continuing itself, shall we say. So I don't know. Am I personally particularly worried? Not at the moment, but I could see some people having that impression.
The most recent gacha game I played, that there was an anniversary in, is Honkai Star Rail, and I got a 10 pull out of it, which is sort of the standard, like, character acquisition attempt. So, like, in my ideal world, would they give you 1550 credits and 155 boosters? Yeah, probably. That'd probably be my ideal world for anniversary. Like, here you get one split. But,
yeah.
But whatever.
At the end of the day,
say like a special mode would have been interesting. Like when they who was
that
it?
Not what high voltage is?
Well, yeah, okay, that's fair.
But it doesn't overlap with this, correct?
Yeah.
Or does it only partially overlap with it?
By then, right?
I believe it's isn't the 18th anniversary? I think it's tomorrow as of recording yesterday.
I thought it
should definitely overlap.
I thought it was next week. I thought it was from next Tuesday to the following week.
I'm gonna look up Marvel Snap release date.
I was gonna say I thought it was next week as well.
10/18/22.
Like,
okay, so it starts tomorrow.
Okay, so
it's partially overlaps.
Okay.
I mean, yesterday
I probably would have just started Voltage
right.
on the second anniversary then.
Yeah,
like so you can tie that in to sell it to people. But oh well.
I mean, again, I am on the thing that free rewards. Yes, if they're insulting, but they're still free, right? Like, can't complain about a free lunch, even if the free lunch sucks. Like, as I say this to teenagers that I work with who get free stuff that they find underwhelming all the time, I'm like, do you remember that this is free, correct? Like, this is also free. But I think it just doesn't feel like any different than any other time they drag out the rewards. That's, to me, I think the big thing is that, like, it doesn't feel special. Like, I think there's not even a variant at the end, right? It's a big fancy border, right? There's no variant in it.
Yeah, it's a border. I think there is one variant in it.
Is there one variant in it? Okay.
I believe so.
But I thought I remember, like, when I was
one PMV, but not a specific variant.
Oh, okay.
One premium variant.
So, but not like a specific anniversary variant. Like, that's what I. But like,
yeah, you have to spend money for that, bro.
Yeah, slap Iron Man, right? Because like Iron Man, they seem to think is like. I mean, Iron Man's a great character, and it is one of the Series 1 cards that is still playable in the higher series. So, like, maybe that Iron Man variant.
Fucking Iron Man.
Yeah,
right?
well, and maybe that Iron Man variant that is in the high voltage track could have been in the login rewards or whatever, right? So
you know what it might have been? It might have been the Magneto that they just gave us.
Yeah, it could have been that.
Oh,
because that was marked as promo, so they were already going to plan to give us that, and then we just got it a different way.
Yeah, maybe, but
that sounds very possible.
Fucking just have it. All right. Deadpool's Diner is coming back in November. Do we like Deadpool's Diner?
I'm on the record that I think Deadpool's Diner sucks. So I'm not looking forward to having to play it again to get to get the card. Hopefully it's cheaper, but it will not be cheaper. So I will be stuck in that cursed mode.
It might be cheaper.
I might be stuck in that cursed mode forever.
Will?
I actually really enjoyed it, which probably comes as a surprise as somebody that is on record repeatedly as really hating the snap mechanic, and Deadpool's Diner kind of doubling down on that. But I think the way that it did it with the auto snaps and the kind of regenerating tokens plus the separate like tiers of betting and such made the whole concept much more fun as a casual person to interact with. So honest to goodness, the last Deadpool's Diner was the most fun I've had in Snap in months.
Chris?
I'm somewhere in the middle of Roy and Will. It's okay. It's better than Conquest for me, but I had more fun with it than I would with Conquest. But I don't know. It's like getting the card was not a problem the first time around. Like it was. I know people got scared about it at first. I got the variant with several days to spare, and I played, I would say, a little more than an average person during that time frame. So, like, getting the card, not really difficult unless you're horribly mismanaging your resource pool. It was fun enough. Like, would I prefer it if it was a week long and maybe cut the rewards required down? Yeah, I probably would. But I'm sure I will play it again, and I will probably enjoy it.
So I thought I liked Deadpool's Diner, but it's coming back, and I don't want to play it again. So I don't think I like Deadpool's Diner in hindsight. I think a part of that is like last time it was out, it was during the summer, and I'm a teacher, so I could just be like, blow off some shit and do some extra Deadpool's Diner. And now I've got like real life and responsibilities, and Deadpool's Diner feels like work. And I don't care about that in the summer when I don't have work. Right? But like when I have work, like I'm going to play Deadpool's Diner not because I want to right now, but because I got to make content on the new fucking card. And if it takes me 3 weeks to get it and I have to wait to buy it with tokens, then I'm doing speculative content, and that feels like a disservice to the community. Like, but I don't think I like Deadpool's Diner. Like, and I didn't know that until it was coming back. Like, I knew that I didn't love playing it, but I also didn't hate playing it, and I was fine with it, and I thought it was, whatever. It was just too similar to regular Snap for me to really care about. But a time limit right now, when combined with everything else, like, that the game asks of you, and life, and content, and work, and family, and everything. So, I don't want to deal with that bullshit. So, like, I really, really, really hope they make it. I'm, like, to the point where I'm almost certainly going to bring it up in the creator program relatively soon. We're like, hey, I know you probably can't change it by now, but like, chill with Deadpool's Diner, y'all.
Make it a week or 10 days.
Yeah,
something like that.
And then just like,
that's fine.
Stupid fucking God, 8,000 borders along the way. Like, stop it! Just fucking God, everyone does not want your stupid borders.
I still haven't applied a single border, and yet I'm kind of intrigued when I get them, but I just don't use them.
I applied a really great one to the Midnight Suns Nico that is like literally the most beautiful card in my collection. Like, it makes me want to play that card.
I have one black border on a hit monkey that I like a lot, and other than that, I put borders on things, and then I just go back to my standard gold border, my regular legendary border. And I'm perfectly happy with that. All of my cards have a legendary border, unless I'm actively seeking a gold split.
I've applied one singular border.
What is it?
I don't remember. I just know I applied one. You can tell how much it mattered to me, since I cannot remember for the life of me what card it was.
There was that really nice black border that they gave us as like a login reward when they were first pushing borders. That's the one I put on Nico, and it's like, oh baby.
Ooh, okay.
This is good stuff.
I think I applied one of the neon blue ones we got from something to something, but I don't remember what. I will at some point, but
I saw the suggestion of putting the rainbow one on Thanos, and I do have a couple pretty spicy Thanos variants.
I have a rainbow Thanos,
so
like Kirby.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I also have a rainbow Loki Kirby, so like it'll be one of those two probably if I ever remember to bother to give a shit. All right. Series drops in December. We don't actually have to discuss series drops. Everyone knows fucking series drops should happen more often. It's kind of stupid at this point. Instead, what we're going to do is just say, what is one card? I mean, does anyone have like a dissenting take based on what I said about series drops?
I just think it's funny that the truthers were wrong, who said it was never going to happen again.
Yeah, well, that was ridiculous. That was an absurd take. But like, so my real question is, what's one card? What's one card you think you want to series drop, and one card you think they will series drop? Anyone have an answer ready? I can go while you guys think about this.
Nico, right? She's still
should
Series
drop.
5.
She's
drop.
Mm-hmm.
Should go to 4, definitely. And then card that they will drop. They dropped Hercules last time, right? I'm trying to think of like the really, really bad cards that are still Series 5.
Beta Ray Bill, maybe?
He might go
I
to
could see
4. I
that.
could see him going
I
to
can
4.
see that. So I have a 4 to 3
I
that
have
I
a 4 to 3
really
as
that
well.
they should
I wouldn't
definitely
mind
that they should
seeing Scar
1,000%
drop.
do.
I
So
can see
Scar
Scar.
keeps. I don't think they will drop Scar because Scar keeps finding new homes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Can we fucking drop Zabu now, please?
What about Darkhawk?
No, I want Zabu. Zabu was a
No,
serious
at
pass.
this point, never
no.
Darkhawk.
So it feels worse to me that they fundamentally went back on the deal they had with the community about season pass cards. Right? Because like there was an implicit deal that like, yes, you can buy the season pass, and if not within like 6 months, it would drop down to like, right? So you would be 6 months, and then they changed that with Zabu, and they never dropped Zabu. And like Zabu is finally playable again, and it's just time. Drop Zabu into Series 3. Let people have Cat already. It's ridiculous.
So I have one that should and one that I think will. The should, I think Grandmaster should drop from 5 to 4.
Oh, that'd be good. Grandmaster's really good right now.
Yeah.
And for one I think will, I think Havoc will drop from 4 to 3.
I can see that.
There we go. Speaking of bad cards.
Havoc's not bad right now.
Havoc's fine.
Well,
Great
high
in high
voltage, sure.
It's great in high voltage. I just lost it. Holy shit. Oh, I want Werewolf in Series 4.
That's
Like badly.
Yeah.
I want Werewolf in Series 4. I think Werewolf should be Series 4. I think it would also be nice if they did like the cards that they buffed right after they left Spotlights as like a hey sorry community, if they all dropped from 5 to 4. Like Cannonball goes from 5 to 4, and like
that would
Hydra
would
Bob
actually-
and US Agent just be like, hey, we know we
Hydra
kind
Bob.
of screwed you.
I could definitely see Hydra Bob going from 5 to 4.
Yeah, like Hydra Bob's also really good though. Like, so I could see them just being like, no, it's like you can't. Well, though I guess we don't need Hydra Bob and Silver Sable in Series 5, right?
No, they don't.
But yeah, that's where I land.
Watch them series drop White Widow.
I mean, they're definitely series dropping White Widow. You know who they're not series dropping? Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Roadmap in development. Character mastery is coming, and it's going to be a rewards track. How do you feel about character mastery as a concept, as an idea? Are you going to push for variants? Where are you going to go?
What's the short version on the concept again? It's been a while.
Character mastery is basically you have a rewards track for each character where you can unlock special splits and like special stuff for them based on how many variants you own and how many times you split the card. So they tried to make character mastery, for anyone who doesn't know this, and they broke the game somehow. And so instead of character mastery, what they released was, as I choke, excuse me, the character specific albums, like the Carnage album, the Deadpool album, the Wolverine album. Those were supposed to be character mastery things. But when they couldn't make it work, they were like, well, for the time being, we're going to do albums. And people freaked out because it's Marvel Snap and people freak out no matter what they say. So people freaked out and they were like, well, people really want character mastery. So they went back into the code of the game, apparently, and like figured it out. And it seems like, no guarantee, but it seems like it's going to be coming around December because, or January, because like that's when they're taking away the enhanced booster rate, and it seems like that's a good way to make, not enhanced booster rate, enhanced split rate, and it seems like that's a good way to make people less mad that they're pulling back on that number. So basically every character in your collection, supposedly every character in your collection, maybe they'll roll it out a few characters at a time, will have its own rewards track where as you get splits on it or more variants on it, that reward track goes up.
It's not based on play rate.
I mean, sure, because to an extent, because play rate is boosters and splits, right?
That's fair.
Like, I'm going to have a hell of an America Chavez mastery.
Me too. And Agatha.
I've got a lot of America splits. The one I'm really looking forward to hear I realized I forgot, I never answered what my favorite card was, which you asked earlier. I am a control player, which means I am a bad person, which means my Shang-Chi has a lot
so many.
of splits.
Yeah.
And I
like
cannot
7 strong
wait
variants.
to follow that rewards track.
Yeah.
It's a good thing, right? Like, hey, we'll give you stuff for playing the cards you enjoy playing the most more. Cool. Like, great. Reward me for doing what I would like to do. That is a good gameplay loop.
Although that said, I do hope it launches for everything across the board and not just possibly a handful of characters like Aaron said. Like, I don't know if we need more incentive, for instance, for everyone to be playing Shang-Chi at the same time because, only 6 characters came out with character mastery at the moment. Like, it might be more interesting to me, I think, if you get everything out there and there's this, I don't know, Snowguard fan that really wants to go ahead and unlock their Snowguard character mastery.
That's Safety Blade. Yes, that person exists.
Okay, perfect.
It's fine. I know exactly who that is. Yes.
I think it's just going to be unwieldy if it's every single character. Like that. That seems.
That's fair.
I don't know. I have to see the UI before I have a huge amount of faith in like it just not adding like a whole pile of like bullshit into the app that you're just like, all I want to do is add Silver Sable to my deck, but I pressed the wrong button and now I'm in her character mastery. God help me. Why am I doing this? Like sometimes it feels like that with the albums. Like it's like, why am I have this notification here? Oh, it's because they added an album of random Carnage variants that, okay. Maybe it's because I also have notification, like, creep. Like, I'm an inbox 0 person.
Not me.
I hate miscellaneous notifications that are just like, you have 66. It's like, what, 66?
So, Roy,
what are you doing?
May I introduce you to the Snap Judgments podcast email box?
No,
it's yours now, my friend.
No. Inbox 0, baby.
The power of mark all as read. There we go. That's my secret.
I'm like with you, Roy. I'm big on keeping my inbox tiny as well. One thing they could do, and to be clear, I do not think they are going to do this, but one thing they could do is give people like, hey, we're releasing character masteries. Opt into 4 characters on your account that you get mastery for.
That would be a cool middle ground.
They never give us choice.
I know. I said it's not going to happen. It's just, if I were designing it and trying to avoid the problem Roy was mentioning, giving people an opt-in would be a way to do it that would make people feel good about being able to pick their characters without creating blood, hopefully.
Well, if it's a select number of characters, it's going to be like some hilariously super playable ones like Jeff, and then some like famous but unplayable cards. Like it's going to be like Jeff, Captain America, Iron Man, Dr. Doom, Cyclops, Misty Knight, and I'm trying to think of what's another like. Oh, of course, Deadpool. Like
it'll start with Deadpool.
Yeah, it'll start with Deadpool, but he's Marvel Jesus, I hear. At least that's what the movie told me.
That character sucks. There's my unpopular opinion for the day.
But anyway, we should probably move forward to the Super Premium Pass. Woo!
So the Season Pass Premium is a joke, and Marvel Snap, Roy is the only person who's ever bought it, apparently.
Yeah.
They're going to add to that. Did you? They're going to add to that more variants and rewards, and seemingly you're going to get deck slots. Like, you can have more than 20 decks.
That's great. That alone is worth buying it.
Like, you'll earn a deck slot, or you'll have it for the duration of that season,
we don't know,
and then you have to rebuy.
They didn't even announce that. They said, and we have something coming that'll make the deck builders in the community really happy. Really happy.
I'm afraid it's essentially going to be a subscription to extra deck space, and that's going to hurt.
Whoa. They have not actually said, though. Because
Seemingly.
Seemingly is doing a lot of work here. Like
seemingly is doing a lot of work. We're gonna pretend that that's it and try and figure it out.
We're gonna pretend. I want to be clear to our loyal listeners and loyal viewers, though, that we are pretending that we are like 2 steps from Alex Jones' conspiracy theory here. Like, because they have not said it. Yes. Yeah.
I haven't been on in a while. Like I know I haven't been on in a while. But wild, baseless speculation always was a core component of the discussions on this podcast.
So something that will make the deck builders in the community really happy, and they've hinted at it multiple times in public question answers, that like this might be something they'd be willing to charge for.
Yeah, but
is that
part
are these 2 things the exact same? No, not necessarily. Okay. But doesn't it seem remarkably second dinner to make us subscribe to get more deck slots?
Oh, 1,000%.
Oh, I mean,
like
literally
we can
all
call this,
other gacha games do that
ready?
too.
Ready? So, we're gonna call this wildless, baseless speculation. I can't bet $50 to everyone, but I would happily take a $50 bet from at least like 2 or 3 people that this is fucking exactly what they're gonna do. They're gonna be like, "You guys want more deck slots? How much you got on you?"
Oh yeah.
Okay, I just want I don't necessarily even think you're wrong, Aaron. I just want to be really clear.
Yeah, that's fine.
That
That's what the word seemingly means.
speculation.
It's based speculation, based in the way kids use the word based. Damn it!
No, it's not.
Yeah.
All right.
It's more. This is more of a bad Ohio prediction.
So, what do we think of the Super Premium Season Pass?
Whatever.
I guess I need to see it.
Whatever. I don't just let people spend their money if they want on dumb shit.
I think economically, if you were giving people a reason to give you more money as a company that will actually entice them to give you more money, that's probably smart. Ultimately, companies are in the business of making money. So, here's another way to get you to give me more of your money. Okay.
So you know what they do if they're smart? They make the extra variant a Series 4 card.
So if you buy the Series Pass, you might get a card you didn't already have.
Yeah, you can get a Null or a Darkhawk or a...
That's cool.
Props to Mandatory Burnout. I believe Mandatory Burnout's idea was that. But yeah.
But I just want to be clear, except for the seemingly the seemingly possible thing of the deck slots, it's just unobjectionable, right? It's just so they charge an extra $3 more to people who want to spend it, and they get more currency, whatever, the deck slots thing. If it's part of it, that's where I think there could be debate, and because that's a true quality of life improvement, right? Marvel Snap does not give you enough deck slots.
Oh
right?
No!
Especially, can you believe they made I mean, we can believe it, but how ridiculous is that high voltage is the same deck slot? Because I keep accidentally playing those on ladder.
Oh,
and so that is the only thing to me that could be controversial about this, is if deck slots is tied to it. So.
Or if the base season pass is actively downgraded in some way.
Yes, that's true.
Those are the sort of things that bug me. If you just want to add more and let someone else pay for more without changing existing, great. It's when existing gets downgraded that I have a beef.
It's especially unobjectionable when it's variants and credits and the like, because there's just no pay to win argument you can make about that.
Mm-hmm.
True.
It's pay to have pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fundamentally different thing. If people want to pay to have pretty, I'm sorry, if you object to that, how do you expect money to be made?
My card game communism tells me that all decks must be shiny crits. All decks must be shiny.
But some are more shiny than others. All right. Album preview and wish list, and they gave us a picture of this. I'm going to put that on screen. This is what that will look like. So if you wanted the Gangs All Here album, right, you could apparently wish list specific cards from it and seemingly buy them from it? Question mark?
I'm way more confused. So
this is what they showed us. This is from secondary. You see the in development, not final at the top right?
Let me try to open here. I'm gonna wait for time here. Why I opened my thing here. There's one hip that I don't have to be complete, so I could wish list that. And does that increase its chance of being in the store?
I would assume it makes
do I
it
get
be
notified?
in the store, or you can just get it immediately from that bundle.
That's what I would hope for, because
that's what this looks like, right?
One of the things that I've heard people object to, other friends of mine that have played Snap and the like, is the shop gets so overrun by album variants that if there's a non-album variant you want, it can be very hard to get a hold of. So giving an option to direct buy an album variant if you wish listed it, and it would be totally fine if you only allowed one wish listed album at a time or whatever. Right. That seems like it would be, again, just good quality of life for everybody.
Yeah, but then they're not marketing FOMO as hard.
Yeah, that's the thing. It seems like a great quality of life, but man, do they love making sure we go check the store multiple times a day. And this would theoretically, if this works like we're guessing, it would lower people's need to go check the store all the time.
Except if you're looking for a non-album variant and you're checking the store and you are overrun by albums you don't care about, then you get pissed after several days of it.
Yeah.
That's
Being
true.
like, can I just see X variant? I had that happen recently with Testament Magneto, who I finally did get, but I was waiting for a couple weeks for him to cycle in, and it was just getting annoying.
Yeah. Okay. Feel like we've hit that new limited time game mode. We're going to talk about draft in the distant future thing. So, what new mode do you want? If I believe I can guess Will's, but let's see if I'm right.
Was it going to be multiplayer?
Yeah, it's going to be melee.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, in theory, that sounds interesting. I mean, a lot of my enjoyment of multiplayer card games is interacting with people at the table, which I can't do in Snap, of course. But I would definitely be very intrigued to give it a try.
4-player Snap sounds fucking miserable. I'm sorry.
It sounds amazing to me. I love that idea.
Well, I mean, they could do other things than just make it vanilla Snap. If it was like 4-player, but with high voltage, like energy and like only 3 turns, that kind of thing.
9 locations or 12 locations?
It'd probably be 5, right? You just do 5 and you say, go fight. But I think what makes more sense is you do 2 teams of 2 and you keep 3 locations.
Oh, teams. Okay.
2-headed giant. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got one that I think they might even do at some point, or it would be easy for them to do. Make a mode that utilizes the Avengers vs. X-Men mode they had, where a mode where there's specific card bonuses for synergies.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd go in and be like, okay, well, if I'm playing, Hydra cards, every Hydra card gets +1 power when at a location with other Hydra cards or whatever. And you just have a mode with that particular conceit built into it for a week or so. Because people I think the average non-competitive person loves the idea of theme decks.
Right.
So
Yep.
give people an avenue where they could do theme decks and have that be a thing.
Agreed. I think that's a really good idea. Like, you
That's
just
a great idea.
tag all the characters and be like, you play an Avengers deck, you get this. You play a Fantastic Four deck, you get this. You play, Sinister Six, whatever, right?
Right, and you're not required to play 12 cards of that affiliation, but just when you play cards of that affiliation, you get X bonus.
I would bet almost anything, and I don't necessarily want this, that they're working on their own version of Commander. I don't know what that looks like in Marvel Snap, but Commander's too successful.
I almost mentioned that because of the exact same thought. Like, Commander is the way people play Magic. It's sort of in the wild, so...
Yeah.
I really don't think so, because part of the appeal of Commander is the singleton, but Marvel Snap is a singleton game, right? Like, I think, maybe we'll go into the Magic design weeds. Like, maybe a companion mode would be better. Like, if you know what the companion mechanic is, which is you do start with one. You build your deck otherwise normally with some restriction based on that. So if you pick Captain America as your hero, that means you have to have only Avengers, right? Or I don't know, only American superheroes or something, right? And that allows you to have Captain America start in your hand. And that could be what you do, but I also I think the card pool's too small. Part of the appeal of the decks are really small. Like, the other appeal of Commander, right, is that it's 100 cards. So theoretically, the game should be radically different, right? I mean, maybe a Marvel Snap deck that is 30 cards, but you're still playing Marvel Snap.
I mean,
right?
larger deck sizes cross my mind.
Yeah, if they did want to do that, they could combine it with the idea I just mentioned.
Yeah.
Where, here you pick a commander and it's Captain America. That means you have the Avengers affiliation. That means Avengers cards get X bonus.
Right.
And Captain America starts in your hand or whatever.
And
Fine.
you can even make that be like 15 card decks or 18 card decks. Or decks where you can play 2 copies of Avengers, right? Something like that.
Yeah, you could do several things with it.
Oh, right. Let us move on to the future. There's nothing to really say here, so I'm just going to read this. If you have anything you would like to add, please let me know. In concept, their draft mode goals, because they are working on draft mode, because everyone keeps yelling that they want draft mode. Clear and exciting deck building, fun gameplay that feels unique from constructed, and highly replayable. Anyone have any draft mode thoughts that aren't just like, hope they can nail it?
No.
More than that? Not really.
This is the most, like, I don't know if any of you are in, like, high-level planning meetings, but this, like, list of things is the most, like, I just came out of a high-level planning meeting. It's like, I want this thing to be exciting. Yes, of course you want your game to be exciting. It needs to have fun gameplay that's different than the other ways you do it. Yeah, it really does need to be that. It needs to be, and highly replayable. Yeah, great, guys. Like, yeah, how can we possibly object to this mode, right? Like, this is definitely... I'm a draft skeptic in Snap. I'm happy to be proven wrong. But...
Roy, it needs to be a deliverable that
yes.
increases customer satisfaction.
Yes, right, you know. And
because the venture capitalists now own Snap. Leave it alone.
No, I just think it's a very funny, like, yeah, this is the 3 principles, the 3 pillars. Oh, my God. We have 5 of them at my school. The 5 pillars that we have to do these things. Let's make sure we're aligned on our agreements here that we all came for. But, like, yeah, like, it's just where the money, they have to put their money where their mouth is. And I hope that we do not get draft for, like, another year. I know that makes a lot of, like, people really sad, but I hope that they take the time to launch with a substantially internally play-tested and thought-out mode versus, like, we need to get a substantial game mode out. Let's just knock this shit out. We'll fix it. We'll fix it in post. I really hope they don't do that.
I mean, if they were going to do that, that would have been that would have been to come out instead of high voltage, right? And we know that there's another mode coming out before this. If they were going to just release it, then they would have just released it, right? Like they did they've got at least 2 other modes since they started planning draft. And then there's a new cosmetic type. We don't know any information about that, but cool. New cosmetic type. Yay.
Oh, one thing I was saying
more things for them to fill rewards that make me sad.
About draft.
Yeah,
I would bet that high voltage and whatever their mode is are rejected ideas from their draft mode. So they're like, oh, this idea we had that we thought would be great for draft didn't work for draft, but it's still really fun. Just push it in as a constructed variant.
Maybe.
Hey, if that works.
Yeah, great. Right.
I'm not complaining.
High voltage fun. Sounds good to me. Okay. Let's review the new cards that are spoiled for November. Season Pass card for November is Surtur. Roy, do you want to read Surtur? Oh, can we do 2 champs and a chump and take turns reading the cards?
Oh my God. Sure. Why don't you start us off then, Glazer?
All right, Surtur is this series pass card, 3/5, series 5, 6,000 tokens. Once it hits the token shop, after you play a card with 10 plus power, this gains +3 power. What do we think of Surtur?
Well, like, if you play it on 3, and you're playing it in a deck that can take advantage of it, right? So, let's take it in the Scar Big Dumb Idiot stack or whatever.
That's where it goes.
So you're looking at turn 4, turn 5, turn 6 plays. Let's just assume 1 card for now. You might be able to squeak 2 on the last turn, but let's assume 1. That's +9 power, so that's 314. That seems good. I mean, just obviously that's really good. Now, it's Shadow King bait, and Shadow King's probably the second best tech card in the game right now, I would say, behind Shang-Chi.
I think Shadow King's probably better right now.
What was that?
I think Shadow King's probably better right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think those 2 are arguable either way, but, like, so Shadow King's a thing, and that will become very prevalent when this hits, but, like, on its face, yeah, that's really strong. I mean, 314 is so ludicrously above curve as to be, like, almost indescribably above curve. So, yeah, I mean, What else is there to say about it?
It can be more than 314. It could be 317 pretty
Yeah,
easily.
like if you play 2 on the last turn, for instance.
Right. Yeah. Or like a monster. Oh, I guess you have to play it. Thank God, monster won't trigger it.
Yeah, monster won't trigger it, but like you could play Scar and X on the final turn.
Scar and Cull Obsidian.
Yeah.
Oh. Further thoughts about Cert?
Seems okay. Are we grading this in the American grading system?
I mean, now
Are we
have
going
to.
full
Now
two
we
champs
have
and a
to.
chomp, or white book rather?
Yeah. So the American grading system is, we're not explaining it. You should know it.
No.
What grade do you give this card?
Oh
It's an
God,
A.
we're doing grades. Okay.
We are. Look, Will's on the episode. We're going old school.
Oh gosh.
It's an A.
It's right.
Maybe you could argue an A- because it doesn't go in like a wide number of decks, but I think
that's what I was thinking might pull it down some. It's pretty narrow.
One of the things that I appreciated about how we reviewed cards on Marvel, on our Snap show is like it's more the way I prefer to give feedback, just like general, lacking like a specific number because they're stupid and very arbitrary.
Fine, we're not reading it.
But no, it's fine. I will do it. I'll do it. I'm just gonna rate it. But what I'm gonna do is I am not gonna rate it on pure power level. I'm gonna rate it on the how interesting is this card. Yes, the vibes, which is my grading philosophy in life. So that's how I do it. I am a grade. I am a grades. The joke I always make at school is I am a vibes based grader. And the vibes here are boring. Sleep. Chris did such a good job explaining how this card works that I fell asleep while he was explaining. This card gets a C for that. It's really dull. It's really boring. It doesn't do anything interesting. It makes a deck that is good and like is enjoyable, for folks who like mid-range, like big number decks, the big dumb
literally
idiots.
Called big dumb idiots,
yeah. Right? You enjoy. More power to you, but
he got so aggressive he muted himself.
I am extremely, extremely bored by this card, so it gets a C.
For the record, Roy, I went to a law school without grades, so like I got you here.
All right, I hate grades, but I like grading cards. I don't like grading things that matter. I like grading things that are fun.
I'm gonna drop this to a B. I think, as said, it's pretty strong in a fairly narrow deck, and like Roy, otherwise, it's just not something that particularly excites me. So, yeah,
I think it's an A-. I think the card that becomes prevalent though isn't necessarily Shadow King. I think it's Mobius. Like, because if Mobius just turns that deck entirely off, you can't do the Sasquatch thing, you can't do the Scar thing. And then, like, you're playing a 10 a turn, and Surtur can still get big. But, like, if you're just playing 30 points of power across 3 lanes in a Marvel Snap game, you're going to lose. So, I think that this card is probably an A-. It makes it a real deck, and that deck will be in and out of the meta based on the tech cards. But I'm fine with it. I think it's a great choice as a Season Pass card. This is, like, sort of exactly what you want from a Season Pass card.
Yeah, that was perfectly cromulent as a Season Pass card.
Yeah. I love cromulence. All right. Our next reader will be Will. Go ahead.
All right, we've got King Eitri, unknown outside of Diner. Don't know if he's what tier he's going to be or how much he's going to cost. But you can activate him to draw a card that didn't start in your deck. So there we go. For everybody that really loved, geez, why my brain shut down? Tyrion's character in in the Marvel movies.
I don't remember his real name.
It's literally that's the name. Like, wait, talk about
No,
Peter
what's
Dinklage's
the
character.
I was trying to remember
Peter
the
Dinklage's
actor's
that character.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, for everybody that loved Peter Dinklage's character.
Okay.
It's literally King Eitri. Yes, that's the point.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this card?
I mean, I think it's interesting enough for decks that, to my knowledge anyway, have kind of fallen off the radar. If you're doing some Thor shenanigans, obviously, maybe it slots into Thanos. I don't think it's worth even the giggles that I would get out of an extra draw in arishem. And Thanos, I think, has still been pretty blah ever since that rework. So, yeah, if I were to give E3 a grade, he's probably getting like a C from me.
Chris?
Power level wise, I'm going to give him a BB+. I think in that Hammers deck, he is phenomenal as an enabler. Being able to get a hammer out if you either don't see Jane Foster or when you're energy crunched at earlier times, or being able to get one earlier seems very, very, very strong.
I just realized something about him. Sorry, go ahead.
Gives you a chance, for instance, if you, Thor 3, Lockjaw 4, whatever, King Eye Tree, and then you have a hammer to dump into Lockjaw right away.
King Eye Tree just has to be played earlier, right? That's why he's not on reveal.
Yeah.
Right. So
you can't chuck him into the Lockjaw.
Sorry, even better.
Yeah.
So you play Eye Tree on 1.
In some ways better, in some ways worse.
Right. But Eye Tree on 1, Thor, Beta Ray Bill, and you activate after playing that, and all of a sudden you've got a hammer to dump into a Lockjaw. There's fringe other uses, maybe in Arishem, as Will said, maybe in Thanos. I think his ultimate home is the Hammers deck, and he's good in it. Do I find that deck interesting? Not especially. If I were grading on Roy's interest level, this would be a C. In terms of power level for enabling the deck he goes in, I think he's a B or a B.
Right.
Roy
is stroking his beard very thoughtfully. I know you can't see it, dear listener, but it's happening. There's a lot of thought.
Give this card a B. Because it says draw a card on it. Like, drawing a card is really powerful. It's especially powerful in Marvel Snap when there's 12 card decks, or since you're putting other cards in your deck, more than 12 cards. I do agree with Chris when he says that I think this is going to be a good Thor card. I mean, I could definitely see it in Thanos or Arishem as well. Like, again, because it says draw a card, right? Like, that's, and you get to choose when you do it. And like, I think, right, the way the activation sequence goes, I can go play Thor, activate on the same turn, and then get it drawn so then I can play it into Lockjaw on Thor, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that's powerful. That is a extremely insane play pattern that is really strong. So, and I think the big problem with Jane Jaw decks to me is there's no other Jane, right? And like there's sometimes where you like really need to see Jane, you really need to see Jane on 5. The redundancy, I'm a big believer in redundancy, and this creates like an additional redundant effect for that, so that's really powerful. And I would like the sort of Thor Bros deck to be better. And so yeah, I'm pretty happy with this card. It's pretty interactable as a 1-drop, so it dies to a Killmonger if you're slow at activating it. So I think it is a well-designed, well-balanced card that both pushes an archetype that it has thematic relevance with, but also has corner case uses in other archetypes like Arishem and Thanos. And Loki is Loki's okay. I forget what Loki does now. Is Loki create cards too, or does Loki is he back to just your hand?
I thought it was just your hand,
he does the
right?
deck. No, he does the deck.
It's deck now.
He changes the deck.
So that means you would get.
So, but I don't know if he transforms them. If he transforms them, they did start in your deck.
Okay.
Which is insane, I'm aware. But
okay.
That was their way of getting around the collector thing.
I think the wording on Loki is that he replaces your deck with
if he replaces, then yes, he's a draw on Loki.
But
if you see him before you Loki.
Absolutely quote me on that, but I think that's the word.
Look this up. We are literally all on magic machines that have the whole internet.
All right.
I literally have tabs open that have this information.
Well,
is replace. It is replace.
Okay.
There we go.
So yeah, this card's a B+. It draws a card. I think this makes Jane Jaw a real deck, and Jane Jaw's never been a real deck.
Cool.
Also, Thanos is still terrible with this. You can put this in Thanos if you want, but it's not better.
I'll give it a try. I want to be able to play Thanos again, but I don't think this makes a difference, or not a big enough anyway.
Thanos is perfectly cromulent in the new mode.
Oh, I haven't given that a try yet.
I have it.
Thanks for the idea.
You play him on turn 1.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
Well,
You only get 2 to 5 energy on turn 1. You
Okay,
cannot
but
play
on
Venom
turn
on
2.
turn 1 ever.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Frigga, it's Chris's turn.
Okay. Frigga, 3/3, Series 5, 6,000 tokens. The 3/3, by the way, I believe is an update from a previous
It was a
Datamines
4/6.
change. So she got lowered in cost. On reveal, add a copy of the last card you played to your hand, if able. I mean, I will say she's way better at 3 costs than she was at 4 costs.
Mhm.
Way, 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 way better. Just, again, more variety in what you do with her. I don't think she's game-breaking. I don't even know if she's good. She might. I don't know. I'm going to give her a B- because I have no idea what to do with this card.
She costs 3. Yes, you do.
Oh, Surfer. Right.
Like, we all know what to do with her.
Yeah.
She says 3, and she's not Surtur.
What's his name?
Last
Sebastian
card you
Shaw.
played, so she would be good
Shaw.
following a Brood. Yeah.
Yeah, you copy
Or
a Brood, you can copy a
Shaw.
Shaw.
Yep.
Or, like, you can Hope, and then play this on Hope, and then you can, like...
Yeah, no, you're
go,
right.
Go,
You're
like,
right.
Surfer Hope again, right? Like...
Yeah.
I'm moving her up to two grade notes now because I enjoy Surfer. So now
Me
she's
too.
a B+.
I think I'm right up there with you, Chris. This is the sort of like weird, interesting, like I think there's gonna be more to unlock like interesting plays with her than I can even think of off the top of my head right now. As
So,
people tinker with the card pool.
Want more stuff? I play Cassandra Nova, then I play this. I now have that buffed copy of Cassandra Nova. I play Sage, I play this, I get the buffed copy.
If buffs copied over from this kind of thing. So
always doing
Cassandra, even an Angela or something, like there's a bunch of yeah. I think honestly I might be talking myself into an A for Frigga. This is the type of effect I really like.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good. I don't know if you know this, but I like bounce a lot. And like
thought about that too.
An extra beast or an extra falcon or like any of that stuff just seems real good, right? Like the card that's coming out next week. I don't know stupid symbiote names, even if it's a bounce card. Sorry. Toxin. Thank you. I should really fucking learn that at some point. I'll learn it when it comes out. I've learned them all as they come out. But Toxin, like I get a fucking like 7 power Toxin, extra Toxin. Thank you. Yes. Right? Like all of that sounds amazing to me. Yeah, I want this card. This is an A-, I think.
I think this card is a B+. I think it's better than when it was at 4. It's still going to end up being
I think it was unplayable at 4.
I think it's still going to end up being clunkier than you think.
Maybe.
I think 3-cost utility cards outside of Surfer, have, I think in my experience, always proven to be more clunky than we think. Right? There's just something weird about 3-cost, right? Like it's like weird to play a 3 on 4 unless you've got that high synergy. It's weird to put it, play it on with a 2 on 5. Like then do you want to copy what you played on 4? And then, does that fit in your curve? Like, I think as a utility card, I think it's great in Surfer because there's like a lot of individually powerful redundant cards, and it's just a 3-drop that gets buffed by your Surfer. So yay for you. I think outside of that, I think it's a combo card. I think it's like you play something stupid that you want to do, and then you play Frigga, you get a second copy of it that you play on, say, 5, and then you do your stupid thing on turn 6 with it. So
I think it just goes in the Agent Venom decks that run like Thena and stuff, right? Like where you're just like, oh, cool, look, another demon, and I triggered Thena, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool, look, I got to cheat my Iron Man out early. Why the fuck not? Right? Like, let's take an extra card. Like, you just get extra benefit from it in like your low mid-range good stuff he builds.
That's fair, maybe.
It's at least my theory. All right, Frigga done.
Yeah.
We are on to the Fenris Wolf.
No, we're on to Macalith, right? That's
I just don't know how to change titles. I think the last 2 cards might both be. No, I changed score. I just didn't change ones. There's always one card that I do this with. Roy, read us about Malekith again. Wait, where's Malekith? Did I put Malekith on this?
No.
Nope.
Guess not.
I guess we're not doing Malekith.
we're doing Malekith Fenris Wolf.
I'll find
right.
Malekith and we'll do Malekith impromptu.
This is the text of the dog, right? Not the text of Malekith. I have no idea what the Okay.
This is the text of the dog. This is the Fenris Wolf text.
All right. Okay. Cool. So Fenris is a 2/3, 2 cost, 3 strength, series 5, 6K tokens. Activate. Resurrect the highest power card discarded or destroyed enemy card to your side of this location. To be clear, the way this is structured, it's always an enemy card.
Hmm?
All right. I think we talked about this card before, right?
Yeah, when it was Datamined. It hasn't changed.
When
They
it was
seem to like
Datamined.
this idea.
I think it's really strong. I think Sean, it's an activate, so you play it on 2. Short of Red Guardian, there's not a lot of things that can interact with it. So you Shang activate, boom. Like, you get this, right? It's kind of stupid in the sense that, like, it's kind of dumb in a Galactus deck, because you get the highest power thing that you blew up of your opponents. So, like, if you
How?
right, because it's destroyed enemy card to your side of this location.
If they Galactus that location,
it has to be that location, correct? Like,
yeah,
it's
so
only
they
what
have,
was killed
they
at
have
that
to
location.
No, it could be killed anywhere, but
Okay.
they have to Galactus that location.
No,
You can't
well,
play. You can't
if
play it
you
in your Galactus because Galactus has to be alone, and the
Well,
earliest
but
to
you
really
can play it on 4.
Roy's saying you cheat Galactus
Okay,
early.
so you cheat
Four.
Galactus, get
Fenris
Galactus on 4. You play
5.
this on 5,
Then-
activate it on 6.
6.
Sure,
Yeah.
if you can pull that off, you know what we call that? You earned it.
No, I mean, but it's an additional stupid thing to do in Galactus.
Sure.
Right? Like, there's dumb things to do with this. But I think on the tin, this is a B card to me. The combo of Shang-Chi and this is just really strong. So, it's point and click. So, there's what I feel about the dog. And it costs 2, so it's hard to interact with.
Any thoughts?
Strong yet somehow unexciting. I think because that strength is so narrow, right? Shang is the easy, the obvious move, and yeah, you could have some Christmas land with Galactus, but outside of that, like, what are you? You're hoping you get something tasty with a Moon Knight. I just don't think there's a lot past that makes it very interesting to me.
Chris?
Okay, I'm going to borrow Roy's grading system this time and going on vibes, right?
Yeah.
Remember how I said I was an Apocalypse discard enjoyer?
Yeah.
This gets an F and I hate it.
Wait, it's not going to hit Apocalypse.
It does get the Apocalypse, doesn't it?
I don't believe
Highest
so.
power discarded or destroyed?
So those cards never count as discarded and destroyed for things, right? Like, because
They
they would count for Hela.
They count for Mobius.
Sure. Maybe they get Apocalypse. I would assume not, though. Because it doesn't count for Hela. It doesn't count for
I'm
anything.
assuming they do get Apocalypse here because he was, in fact, discarded. So, thanks, I hate it. It gets an F.
Okay,
If
I
I'm
guess
wrong
that's fair.
about that, I'll evaluate it later on some more objective level. But right now, I presume it works on discard, and therefore it gets an F. Not
guess
objectively, just off vibes.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought enough about. This is almost like a silver bullet that you see in other card
No one
games.
needs to
Like,
counter discard. It's fine.
No one's going
yeah,
to
but it's also destroy, right? Like, your opponent is, trying to copy whatever huge venom they've got.
This will
you get a
not be
venom,
played as
he
a
eats
counter
half your
card.
board, but he's huge.
So,
It
ready?
will not be played as a counter card. The problem is it will hit me as collateral from time to time.
Ready? This is not going to be played after the week it comes out. This card is like a C-D.
I hope so.
You need to be able to proactively use your cards almost always in Marvel Snap, and this only really works with Shang-Chi. And Shang-Chi is, like, if they drop this, you know what? You've got a big shining fucking sign that says, I'm running Shang-Chi, please play around me. And, like, anyone of any quality at Marvel Snap is going to be able to handle that. Like, this card's not good. I'm convinced that the magical fairyland of Shang-Chi, like, the real use for this, where I could see this actually being good, is if, like, there's a demon meta and I can Killmonger with this and just get a free demon out of this. Turning this into a 2/9, I have all the time for. But the Shang-Chi Christmas land, I just don't see it. You could also Viper over your demon and then Killmonger it. That seems like a lot of stupid work. Right, exactly. But that's what I'm saying, right? Like, unless the meta is hyper specifically focused on things this works with, I don't think this is very good. I also run
yeah.
Shang in very few decks right now.
Once you're up to 3 cards to do a thing, it better be an enormous thing,
Yeah, I
or
just don't
it's
think
just not worth it.
Yeah.
I just like this is a dead card in too many matches for me. Maybe it works for Moon Knight, like, right? I just don't think the Shang combo works, like, at all. And I played enough Moon Knight because there's a discard deck I like to know that Moon Knight's usually not hitting, like, any crazy high power things.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, I think if you put this, is there not a package of this Moon Knight and Shang-Chi that you can stick in decks? And if you play this, say on
no,
2...
you can't play Moon Knight and Shang-Chi together effectively. That's a bad combo. That's
because they discard each other?
Yeah. Like,
so
you're now hitting yourself. I mean, if you can guarantee, like in the commander mode,
or,
where you can commander Zabu, and Zabu on turn 1.
Black Bolt.
Black Bolt, sure. What does Black Bolt say? The lowest power. Sorry, the lowest cost.
Yeah.
So you're always getting something that's really kind of shitty.
Not
and,
always.
like, now you're almost
that's the thing
always
about,
getting
that's the thing about Black
really kind
Bolt.
of shitty. Sure, if you can like play this and then Wong Black Bolt and pull something crazy off, good for, like, this all seems like a lot of work that when I could just be playing things that like win the game.
Yeah.
I just don't like. I think this card is like a card that seems like this is Grandmaster, where it's like you read it, you're like, fuck, that's so cool, and then you play, and you're like, all right, maybe not.
We also have to keep in mind, as I recall from my memory, Will and Roy like combo.
Yeah.
And Glazer and I do not.
At all. I don't want to play combos. I want to play good cards that do things. All right. Someone's going to read Gore, and then I'm going to read Malekith. So,
whose turn is it? You've been telling us.
Well, I was first, but I'm passing. Who was second? You, Will. You're up.
Was I second? Okay.
Yeah, you were second.
Gore the God Butcher, Series 5 for 6,000 tokens. Why do you even put the cost on these?
Because they release, Agony is Series 4.
Sure, the series makes sense, but the cost, like, we've never seen a Series 5 cost,
it's fine, because
3,000.
some people don't know things. All right.
I don't know. Okay. Anyway, so Gore is... Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. No, sorry.
Gore's 6 cost, -1 strength, ongoing, +2 power for each on-reveal card in play. I'm kind of intrigued to have an on-reveal Spectrum. Not enthused by the -1 power here on him. Feels like a real fine point in pre-release balancing there, I guess. But yeah, I think I like this. I think that could be a new kind of capstone to a deck to tinker with. So I'm not as excited as some of the other stuff. It's probably not as big. So I'm just going to give it a B. I'm going to give it a B.
Chris?
This, in some ways reminds me of Scream, where the question is, how good are the supporting cards going to be? Because you can't count on the opponent running on reveal. They may have some, but you can't count on that. Which means
miss the opponent.
You need to build him in an on-reveal shell, and then the question becomes, how good are the on-reveal cards that go with it? I'm not a good enough deck builder to know the answer to that just yet. But I get very similar vibes to the way Scream is very powerful on her surface, but the cards that go with her may or may not be, depending on the deck. And this one, for Gore to work, you have to go even more all-in on reveal, because, again, you cannot count on your opponent having a certain number of on-reveals. So, to me, this is finicky. I'm going to call it a C+, I think, with the understanding that there may be a better deck builder than I that breaks it entirely. I fully acknowledge that's possible. But it just feels like the building's going to be kind of awkward with him. So, that's where I come down.
Right.
I think this depends on how much it's worth playing an all in on all reveal deck. If that is something worth doing, having the upside of also getting your opponent's good on reveal cards that pump your dude up is upside, right? Like, if what you are doing with Gore is powerful, then this card is super, like, just on its own. Like, if you can make this consistently, 6-12, something like that, like more than replacement rate, 6-15, right? Then you're in a good spot. And then like your opponent, whatever your opponent is doing is gravy. Like, the fact that he's -1 tells me that he has some upside, and they would rather start him off low and maybe buff him and see where it goes, because there is some serious danger. Because for a long time, the best cards in Marvel Snap were on reveals. That's kind of shifting a little bit, but
Can he fit in negative?
might
There's
be
a decent bit on
1000% he
reveal
goes to
there.
negative.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he's just a 0, like 10, right? Like, you're pretty satisfied with that. Negative. He's a
0.
negative, yeah.
Yeah,
I've been waiting this whole time to say he goes to Mr. Negative, and I don't think he goes anywhere else.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
yeah.
There's a lot of on reveals in Mr. Negative too.
So the problem is, on reveal decks are built around cards like White Tiger, who makes a bunch of not on reveals, Namora, who needs you to have very few cards in play, which means you have very few on reveals, right? Like, the on reveals that you want, the on reveal cards that are good are not cards that flood the board, and he wants you to flood your board. And so I don't know how that works. I think he's just a really cool Mr. Negative card.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think he's a very cool Mr. Negative card. He replaces Null as probably the best 6-drop in Mr. Negative decks. But I don't want him in other decks. Like, I think he's like a C- because I don't think Negative's ever going to be meta. But he's cool. Like, I'm very happy with this design space. And I like his little spider crotch underwear thing.
Yeah, I keep staring at that, and I feel horrible about it, but it really draws the eyes.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, we can't have him be totally naked. Let's just put a little black spot there. What? All right.
It's his spider
Mike
suit.
Diodato or whoever made this.
It's not Mike Diodato. They never have good artists as the. No offense to like Ryan Kincaid.
No. This is like his character design, isn't it? Like, this is just what he's supposed to look like.
I thought he had like a loincloth or something. I don't know. I didn't
thought he
read
had
a huge
loincloth, but it's been a while.
It's
been a while. Cool. All right. Malekith is a 4/6.
No, he has more underwear in the.
What?
It's more underwear.
Okay. I think you're saying no, Malekith isn't a 4/6, and I was like, no, he is. I promise. On reveal, add a 1, 2, or 3 cost card from your deck here. It reveals at the end of the game.
Wait, say that again.
4/6 on reveal. Add a 1, 2, or 3 cost card from your deck here. So you get a card from your deck and it pops into play at that location, but does not reveal until the end of the game. I'm going to assume, as is usually the case in Marvel Snap, if it's unrevealed on your side, you can know what it is, but your opponent will not.
That was the question I was going to ask. That's an exceptionally important question.
We don't know, but that's how everything else works in Snap, right?
I mean,
like, because if you don't know,
if you don't know, then the only play for it is you run 1, 2, and 3 cost card, right?
You know what you're getting, right?
And that card is Shadow King. Or Cosmo or whatever. Right? Like, no, Shadow King, because it's the end of the game.
Cosmo is terrible.
Yeah, you don't want Cosmo.
Revealed at the end of the game.
Yeah, Cosmo doesn't do anything. But, like, it's Shadow King, it's Rogue, it's that card. It's that important, or cheap tech card. If you can only run 1.
Mobius.
Yeah, very powerful at the end of the game.
Yep.
More BS, though.
Morbius.
Yeah. Be Morbin.
It's Morbin time.
I'm glad everyone.
So we're going to force you to give a grade first.
Oh, I think it's perfectly fucking fine. This is probably like a C+. Like, I don't think it's great, but I think it's going to have its occasional homes, and it's just going to sort of fit into some mid-rangey stuff. Its biggest problem is that it costs 4, and like, I don't want to run 4 cost cards as a rule. Like, unless I'm running a 4-cost deck, I don't want to run 4-cost cards. Although, if I am running a 4-cost deck, then I do want to run this, except now I want to run Zabu, and I really don't want this to hit fucking Zabu when it does nothing. So we've run into counter synergy. So if I'm running a deck that can, like, afford to only run 1 or 2 cheap cards, I'm perfectly happy with this. And if I'm not, then this can kind of go away. What you could do is you could, like, sort of chuck the early plays in your tribunal stuff and just get Mystique and make sure the last card you play is an ongoing. And voila.
Yeah, I would have called it a C. It's, Zemo you have a little more control over, but costs more. And, look, general rule of card games. Randomness is fun, it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a little better because it adds a card to your extra card to your side of the board.
And
so
it
it's an
thins your
extra
deck.
play, and it thins your deck. But
Oh, I know where this goes. Ready? This goes in your Hela deck, and Luke is your 3. Oh no, you don't have enough discard then. Thank God.
yeah,
Okay,
because
we're
you
good.
still need Blade.
Yeah. Okay. Phew.
So to me, it's a C. I'm sure some people will play it. It is unlikely to be a card I'm going to spend token or keys on as a more limited resource play.
I think I'm a little higher than that. I think I'm going to give it a B. I mean, it's a pseudo draw that kind of plus or minus here, right? You don't have exact control over the draw, but you've got some, and you're also getting some free energy effectively out of whatever it plays. So that's probably kind of a wash. I'm going to call it about the same as a free draw. So I kind of like that. And in comparison to stuff like Zemo, like you've got control over your deck compared to your opponents. So I think the upside of you being able to shoehorn it into something useful is better. So I like it.
The thought I just had was, is it ever going to be better to build a deck around this than it would be to build a deck around Jubilee, where you're going to get, if you build your deck right, a much higher impact card pulled out? So
here's a deck that I just realized exists. This isn't the version I want, but whatever. So there's this deck. It's called Stinky Smooth. My wife just heard me say Stinky Smooth apropos of nothing and was very confused. All right, Silver Sable, Hydra Bob, Hazmat, Silk, U.S. Agent, Luke Cage, Cosmo, which you would cut in this case, and then it's running like a top end with like Miles Morales, Man-Thing, and Ajax. Like you're perfectly happy to get all of, like, if you just run an extra 4/6 in that, right? Like that's guaranteed to get, and I'm going to read just the low cost stuff that it can get here once I find the right tab again because I clicked away to try and talk. That can get Silver Sable, Hydra Bob, Hazmat, Scream, U.S. Agent, or Silk, or Luke Cage. That's all pure upside for you, right?
It's all
like
good.
Pure upside.
Well, Scream Agent would
sorry, Scream shouldn't be in this
would
version.
hurt
Scream would not be in
Malekith
that version.
himself, so that might not
but
be
but you've got Luke, right? And like now you're more likely to draw your Luke.
True.
So like it could hurt your Malekith, it could not hurt your Malekith. And you could always like just not run that card. There's versions of this that run the version I was looking for actually runs Valentina, which would also be cut from this version, right? Like you would just run cheaper stats cards instead of cheaper like other cards. And then you say, all right, so I've got, like, you would run like a Jeff there, and you're just like, if this just becomes a 4/9, you're like, all right, I can play it a 4/9, right? But it could also be a 4/11 if you pull a Silk and it's the end of the game, so it's not going to move. Or it can be a Hazmat that is going to reveal at the end of the game, and now you can drop your Ajax willy-nilly without any fear. And like all that stuff ends up working together. It can be a Luke, and now like it looks like you're going to lose, but you have a Luke and your opponent does not. Like, I think that's where I'm playing it. That's my home for it. So yeah, I'm gonna actually go up to a B because that is one of my favorite decks. It was my highest win rate deck last season, and the deck I hate Infinite with this season. I used a Scream version this season just because I wanted to try Scream, but Scream is just a meme because what difference does it make? All right, we are on to our variant of the week. Right.
All right, this is our final segment every week. We have a 50-50 shot here. All right, we have the David Finch over here on the left, and then we have that's what, Peach Momoko? Ryan Gonzalez. Ryan Gonzalez. Yeah. One on the right. So we'll start with the Gonzalez variant here. Who picked that one?
I did.
All right, Chris, go on.
I think I'm up and down on chibi type variants. It really depends card to card. This one I think is like super stylish looking, and the bat's super cute, and the little grave marker, and in the background the mausoleum, I just think it's very evocative. And it's got the Dracula in armor, which is a different portrayal of Dracula than the classic, 19 Bela Lugosi Dracula look. So I love the variation here, and I think the chibi works super well in this particular case. I love this Gonzalez Dracula. And I do think Dracula has several good variants, but this one is the one that I think if I had, I would run.
All right. Who wants to talk about David Finch?
I'll start. So I picked this one because it's the classic Dracula. This is what Dracula looks like in my head. If I close my eyes and think Dracula, it's that. So that's why I like it.
I'm pretty much right there. I was an English major and wrote my senior thesis on, it was actually Frankenstein, but I wrote a different paper on Dracula. And yeah, this is the version that I dig.
Dracula. Yes. I think that a full agreement. I think it is also comic booky while also being true to sort of the classic multi-picture, Bela Lugosi version, in a way that like the red suit armor Dracula that Marvel has been like kind of pushing since the mid 2000s is not really my jam. So give me the classic any day.
Yeah.
All right. So
I mean, do either of our guests have anything they would like to say or plug once more before we go? Because I didn't have socials, which is what we do in the that section.
If you like RPGs, play Metaphor ReFantazio. I am a disgusting...
Props and slops.
I am a disgusting number of hours into it. It is super fun. If you enjoy the Persona games, you are likely to enjoy it. The combat is better than any of the Persona games, in my opinion.
My problem with the Persona games is it felt like I was doing chores between things happening.
It's much more forgiving of time in this case. So you still do a lot of the chore type things, but it's like you're not on as tight a clock. So you have a lot more freedom to do kind of what you want in whatever order you want. So far, it's been very good. The characters are interesting. The story is good enough. And I've had fun with it.
Better or worse than Persona 5?
I enjoy it more.
Better or worse than Persona 4?
Persona 4 I like better.
I know you do. That's why I started with 5. All right. Good to know. Not better than one of your favorite games ever, but better than one of the all-time classics of the genre.
Also play Silent Hill 2, the remake. I'm about to
play it. I didn't know there was a remake.
I'm going to get together with some friends that I played it in college with. That's my second favorite video game of all time, the original. So I have to talk it up here because that, for me, is near the pinnacle.
All right. Anything you want to say, Will?
Well, if we're turning this into props and slops, I'll throw some props to a different video game, Hall of Torment. I found that when it was on early access, but it just hit full 1.0 release a week or two ago. It's basically what if Vampire Survivors and Diablo 2 had a baby. So it's the Vampire Survivors, very familiar roguelike style, but in the Diablo 2 grim and gritty, 3D pseudo sprite thing. Very much looks like it could have come out in about 1998, and
it definitely looks like that based on its Steam page. I think you're being not generous enough. 1999, maybe.
Okay,
maybe 2001.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's been good. it has a lot of the stuff that you would expect from kind of the Diablo feel, even of like collecting equipment, items, and such. There's a system where you can collect them, then send them back up to the surface to purchase later, so that you can load yourself out for the next run, kind of thing. So you can eventually collect sets and things like that for the Diablo feel. So yeah, it really hits that vibe for me, and is nice to be able to play in 30-minute or so bursts, depending on how long you stay alive. So
nice. Roy, your props and or slaps?
My prop is that you should follow us on Twitter, which is @SnapJudgmentsCast. All right. We're also, again, still grateful to be the official podcasting partner of Marvel Snap Zone. You can email us. Glazer and I will check it.
Not reply.
At snapjudgmentspodcast@gmail.com. And, of course, what you're listening to this on right now is our YouTube, which is @SnapJudgmentsPod. What I want, Glazer, more than anything, is my favorite segment each and every week.
Well, can I give a prop first quickly?
Yes.
And
well,
I was going to say, Roy left out something really important. Where are people going to find you on Mastodon these days?
We deleted that one, and we deleted the TikTok and the Facebook.
I have like 70,000 TikTok followers because Marvel Snap had a promo for TikTok, and I did it. I made the promo video, and they fucking thousands upon thousands of bots follow me. So I can release a TikTok and have 10 real people watch it, but get a million bot comments, and that is depressing. So I don't use it anymore. I want to actually prop a friend of the show, Safety Blade, who I mentioned earlier. So I was terrible at Pokemon Pocket, like actively, just losing to the bots real bad. And so Safety took like several hours of his time. He's got like multiple children, a full-time job. He took a bunch of hours of his time and was like, just get on a call with me, and taught me Pokemon Pocket. And then I hopped on ladder and I won a bunch of games. Or
awesome.
Ladder, I hopped in games. There's no ladder. And so props to Safety for taking the time. Pokemon Pocket is a much more enjoyable game when you know what the fuck you're doing. And the tutorial is utter trash, so you're going to have to learn from somebody.
Oh, enjoyable. Good to know. Do you know what's also good to know?
All right.
Our patrons.
Let's do it. All right. I'm going to stop when we're almost done because there's one of our patrons that I have to talk shit about because she gave me permission. I'm going to say thank you to Abby Lisa, Mentor, Burnett, Regardless, David G. Winfield, Direwolf, LAB, FaThorNewman, Good Dog Gamer, Inc., I'm Frostman, Jane Everett, Corwin, Prime, Ryan Burke, Caretix Lee, Quarry, Black Dot, Pyrophos, The Goat Secret, Diamond Falcon, Archangel 3K, Hollowed, Quid Pro Joe, Doc Geek, Bat Nick, Mr. Kerfuffle, Ginger Prime, Philip Brakovich, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the James Zone, Rob Silverman, The Bizza, Extras V, and Skippy G. Happy birthday coming up, Skippy G. Tommy Nyquist, King of Bros, Great Kazoo, Jessica Gamble, Ryan Wood, Woody, Kevsey Hoda, Lunacris, John Q, Jimmy Mick Q, Clam, 8th Sage, Monster Supreme Model, Darth Tater, Steven, Brian Coffin, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B., The Fuzzy Special Mix, Hoot. Congrats on your first Infinite, Hoot. Matt H., DJ Mikey Hijinks, No Freaking Flex, Ocularis, Mr. Craig Sterry, BG, The King of Canada, welcome to the group, King of Canada, Jonesy, check out the Triple Threat on YouTube, Two Ties, The Great, Lauren Whatevs, who I'm going to talk shit about once I get to Gunny T, The Pirate King Tuccrr, The Homie Min, and of course Gunny T, but Lauren Whatevs, you know I love you, but you get paid money, real life human monies to write articles for a site. If you follow Lauren Whatevs on Twitter, she has done the ultimate guide to high voltage for free on her Twitter. Why she has decided not to actually take money for a literal ton of hard work, I do not understand. However, free on her hell site of a Twitter account is the ultimate guide to high voltage. Thanks for sharing it, Lauren. Next time, get money for it, my dear friend. Okay.
All right. That brings us to the end of this episode of Snap Judgments. The all new is gone, so I can train myself to do it. And as the return of the OG Snap Judgments, I'm so grateful that I got to do this episode with the OG Snap Judgments crew. So, Will, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It was a blast.
Chris Lavin, thank you so much for joining us this week.
As always, it's a pleasure.
And I will just say again, this was the thing I was looking forward to most this whole week. It was so good to record a podcast with you two. I really miss doing it. It's so lovely. But thankfully, just about each and every week, I do get to record an episode of this show with my dear friend, Pulse Glazer. Aaron, my friend, thank you so much for doing this show with me.
Peace and love, everybody.
All right, friends, that brings us to the end of our 99th episode. The next time you listen to us, watch us, whatever, it'll be the 100th episode. Until then, stay safe, make good choices, and keep on Snap.